my phone screen is shattered to shit. So when I have it aimed on the front, it's just fucking blurry because there's a giant shatter right where the camera lens is. Um, but I'm having a problem. I was wondering if anybody would be able to help me with. I know very, very little about motors, about gas motors. I know a good deal about electric motors. I worked at a TV and vacuum repair shop, and I used to fix uh, box fans, oscillating fans, things like that. Um, Also, vacuum cleaners, obviously, hence the name. Um, Shad's TV and vacuum repair, but never really got down with gas motors. Had a couple mopeds that me and my buddies shared when we were young, like 12, 13, but never worked on it. Um, so now I got this motorbike and having problems with it right now. My main problem right now I've taken apart the carburetor, put it back together, drained the fuel lines, cleaned the fuel filter, the air filter, everything, put it back together, and it's still having the same problem I had before. Now, it's a four-stroke, and I start it, starts up. I don't need the choke on to start it. It idles normally. I have that adjusted so that it's not idling too high. Um, I can pick the back tire up off the ground and it does not spin. It's like just before wanting to spin, which is perfect. Um, but what ends up happening is I ride, and partway into the ride, it starts losing power, and then it bogs out and stalls. So I was having that problem before I took apart the carburetor. And at first I was thinking maybe it was just the air filter. But like I said, I took that off, I cleaned it, got that put back on. So this is the weird part is when it starts to bog out like that, um, what I do is I put the choke on like partially, and it actually makes it so it runs and does not stall out on me, which is strange. Um, because the choke would mean it's getting less air and more fuel, right? So if anything, you would think that that would flood it out, but it doesn't. So here's the other thing. That muffler, the exhaust pipe, is custom because when I got it, it had just this muffler box, right, with this cage over it. And where you see that I have this muffler attached to, there was just a hole in the side of it with a concave piece of screen to keep anything from getting in there. So it would blow its exhaust out this way, right on the back of your leg. So what I did shortly after getting it was I put two self-tapping screws in and attached this muffler that's from another bike. And the reason I didn't attach it directly to the side where this mounts, because it does have the same setup right there. It looks like this. Um, is because had I done that, it would have stuck straight out like that and absolutely burned my fucking leg, because this thing gets up to like over 1,000 degrees pretty quickly too. So that's the reason I have it attached like this. Now this I tried building because I was thinking that maybe there's too much back pressure in here. Um, so I built this so I could attach it to the side, run it down, and have it curl like that. But what I decided to do was take this. I did have it wrapped with all this muffler tape. If you'd seen my previous videos, um, it was about as thick as this piece is, going the whole way up, with I had tar with aluminum tape over it and shit. It was like roofing tape. So I took all that off. I ended up cutting it right here because the bottom of this, there's a screw that you can undo. When you undo that screw, this cap comes off. Now, when the cap came off, there was a straight pipe that went up, and it went through. There was these 3 or 4 metal discs. Each one of the discs had a hole in it for that tube to go up through, and then on the sides of them, on 2 sides, were divots that were cut away going down it. And then this pipe here came down like this, and that's what this nut attaches to. And that pipe on the sides of it had 6 holes, two, two, two. And then the bottom of it is a cap welded on there with the bolt sticking out of it. So you would put this on, and basically the inside of it, the air would come down this pipe, come out those little holes, and then go up through those 3 or 4 metal discs, through the holes in those, and then back down the long tube through the bottom of this. So I figured maybe that's just there's too much pressure in there because there's that whole thing being pressurized plus this thing being pressurized. And I really started noticing this problem when I made that right there airtight, because for a while there, that wasn't airtight. Um, so the muffler, not all of the exhaust was coming out the bottom. A lot of it was escaping right here. So once I made that 100% sealed, I started having this problem. So then I noticed the first couple days is that if I took off these two, like, well, didn't take them off, but loosen them up so I could slide this away from the motor a little bit, it would run better. So that led me to believe that there was too much back pressure here. So last night, what I ended up doing was I ended up taking a large pipe cutter and cutting it right here so I could slide this whole thing off and then get at this pipe that came down. I took off those metal discs completely, and then the pipe that comes down I couldn't cut off because it has the thread bolt in the bottom to make this end cap stay on. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up taking the discs off. Those little holes that were in it, I cut them open into long slots. And then the little pipe that I was telling you is attached to this bottom cap that's stuck upwards. I cut that off. So now the air comes through this pipe towards the bottom, comes out of those 3 large slots, and then is able to get right out that without going anywhere else. But I still don't know if that's the problem, if there's too much back pressure in there. Because like I said, I'm really not familiar with gas motors. Let's see if I can show you this here. I'll take this off now. Like I said, if anybody knows anything, man, it will benefit me greatly because I know very, very, very little, and I know more now than I ever have because of this bike. So yeah, anything will help. So here's what this looks like. So you can see that bolt sticking out of the bottom, and on that bolt you can see it goes up to that pipe. And then this, like I said, this pipe used to come up, about maybe 8 inches or so, came up to like here. And like I was saying, that made it so that when this was on there, the air would go through this down to basically the end, out of those side holes, and then it would get forced up through those discs and then down all the way to the top, and then it would get forced down this, and that would muffle the sound. But now it's basically just a giant open thing. So right above this edge is where those 3 big slots are. in that in this pipe. So all the air has to do is come out of those slots and then go through this hole down here. So I really don't think that that would be causing a pressure issue. If it is, maybe that makes sense why the bike functions better with the choke on while I'm riding it. Not just while idling. While idling, I can have the choke off, but to ride it, I have to put the choke on, and that's restricting airflow coming in, which could make sense because there's not enough air coming out this way, so there's too much back pressure. Thus, restricting the air in is balancing out with the restricted airflow out. Now, if that is the problem, does anybody know how I could resolve this? Would taking this air box off and having the exhaust pipe attached directly to the motor resolve that issue? Like, is that what it is? The fact that there's this box here and that cylinder there that are both large and being pressurized, basically. Um, is that what the issue is, or would it be something else? Because I don't know what the fuck else it would be, to be honest. I've checked my oil, I've checked fucking everything. Um, like I said, I took the carburetor off, took it apart, fuel lines, everything, um, and cannot figure out what the issue is. So if anybody knows anything about back pressure, again, it's a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke. So I don't know. Um, if it is an issue with the muffler, which I don't understand why it would be, because these go to these type of motors. Granted, this one came off of a 2-stroke, but the fact that I haul it out the inside like that, now it definitely shouldn't be making a difference. With a 2-stroke, you need that back pressure to function because there's no valves inside of it. Um, Now, a kid today told me that there's a chance that the inside, like where the fuel and everything is getting dirty. Um, so maybe I need to clean that, clean the spark plug or something. But I don't think it's an issue of firing. It's an issue of fuel and air and exhaust. It's an air. It's a issue of the ratios, I believe. So please help.